Hi, I'm Joe Morrison, founder and CEO of Razor Sharp Consulting and creator of the Donor Finder System. Welcome to the last of a 9-part video series that walks you through the process of creating a donor funnel, which is a step-by-step system that will help you attract, engage, and convert prospects to donors. Today, we're going to talk about the exponential factor. And the exponential factor is really the last part of the final tier of the donor finder system. And it's designed to show you how to convert prospects into donors. We've already talked about all the things you need to know to find new donors and to get them engaged in your work. But now I want to show you how to take it to the next level, how to exponentially grow your database or your donor base, to be more specific, and how to retain those donors so that they give more over their lifetime. When it comes to fundraising, there are really only two basic ways to grow your funding. You can either increase the number of donors that give to your cause, or you can increase the number and the amounts of donations that are given by those donors. We're going to talk about how to do both of these things in a moment. However, the best fundraisers use both methods. I need to point that out. They increase the number and type of donors, and they increase the number and type of donations. And you can do the same. It just takes implementing a few simple steps, a few simple strategies. And like everything in the donor finder system, it requires a little bit of thought and a little bit of planning in advance. But the payoffs can be huge. Now, fundraising is really best done when there is a social or personal element built into it. So let's look for a moment at social media and how it's connected to online giving. I define social media as a low-cost, usually free, effective marketing channel that allows you to empower your supporters in order to share your mission and your achievements. It also makes it easier for potential supporters, of course, to discover you. Now, I know you understand this already, but through the use of social media, one person can reach 3 people who can reach 50 people. So the power really isn't the power really is in its ability to reach exponentially larger and larger numbers of people. And because it does, social media is now one of the main factors in driving online giving. As a matter of fact, according to research conducted by Dunham and Company, in 2004, only 20% of donors said they gave to a charity's website as a result of being asked by another individual through social media. In a single year, that percentage jumped to 26%, and I suspect that it's at least 30% or higher in 2017. So who are these people that are giving, right? Well, the same study showed that donors aged 40 to 59 are now the most likely to give online. In 2010, only 47% of this age group gave online, and that number jumped 20% in 1 year. 67% of donors between the ages of 40 and 59 gave online in 2015. And then once again, I suspect that that number is now significantly higher in 2017. So how are they giving online? That is, what method is prompting them to give? And it seems that email is working like nothing else at the moment. It's showing a 300% increase in just 5 years. Only 6% of donors in 2010 said they gave in response to an email, but in 2015, that number jumped significantly to 20%. So what the statistics are telling us about online giving is that online giving, especially through the use of social media and email, is seeing a sharp increase. So how do we capitalize on those factors? Well, I already showed you throughout this course how to capitalize on email engagement. Now I'd like to spend a moment discussing how to use social media, especially what is known as crowdfunding, to exponentially increase your number of donors. So what is crowdfunding? Well, crowdfunding is simply the practice of funding a project or a venture by raising many small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. And crowdfunding can be conducted by individuals and it can be conducted by organizations. And many nonprofits have begun to venture into the crowdfunding field, although many of them are really ill-equipped to really take advantage of the platform. And why is that? Well, because typically they have no framework or plan. Now, I've solved this for you by giving you a framework that you can use to plan your crowdfunding campaign. In a one-page sheet, I show you how crowdfunding works. I give you checklists and things to consider, and I even give you this nifty little 4-part reminder chart to emphasize that in order to conduct a good crowdfunding campaign, there's really only 4 things you need to know. Your project that you're raising money for, and your nonprofit, of course, your aims, targets, or goals, your assets and networks, and the methods and platforms that you're going to use. So let's look at some of these elements. First, how does crowdfunding work really? Well, while features differ from site to site, crowdfunding sites are basically websites that allow your nonprofit to set up an online fundraising campaign based around a fundraising page, and then accept money directly from that page using the website's own credit card processor. Think of it as an all-in-one, ready-to-go campaign in a box, and all you have to do is activate it. So once you've set up your page for a crowdfunding site or on a crowdfunding platform, you can very easily then invite your friends and colleagues to donate a portion, of course, of the goal to your campaign. Most sites provide integration with Facebook and other social media sites, so you can invite everyone connected to you online with usually just a few clicks of the button in order to give to your campaign. And those donors, in turn, can invite their friends to give. And it can expand out indefinitely to friends of friends of friends. Crowdfunding basically allows you to reach a larger crowd of funders through social media than you would have ever been able to reach on your own. Now, let me give you an example of the exponential factor from my own life. If you were to go to my LinkedIn page a few months ago, you would have seen that I had 441 people that were directly connected to me. These are people I know or have some kind of relationship with. They're my friends and colleagues. They are considered my first-degree contacts. And if needed, I could reach out to these people directly and ask them a question or set up a meeting or ask them to reach out to everyone that they're connected with. Now, those 441 people, as it turns out, are connected to 303,768 other people. So if I asked every one of my 441 contacts to reach out to everyone they know just on LinkedIn, I could potentially reach 303,768 people. Those are considered my second-degree contacts. Now, watch what happens if I ask those 303,768 people to reach out to everyone that they know. Suddenly, I'm looking at 329,632,097 people. And that's just 2 levels out. This is the exponential factor at work. Now, Facebook works the same way as do most other social media sites. Now, just imagine conducting a crowdfunding campaign where you go just 2 layers deep, but instead of doing it just on LinkedIn, you also do it on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and whatever other platforms you might happen to be on. You could potentially reach billions of people. And this is using your already existing networks and contacts. The power of a crowdfunding campaign, especially using multiple social media outlets, is absolutely astounding, to say the least. But you have to do some things first, and you have to do them in the right order to make the most of a social media or a crowdfunding platform. So how do you start a crowdfunding campaign? Well, it's more than simply slapping up a page on the web and hoping people come out of the woodwork to give. If others don't know about you, if they don't trust you or the person that is asking, you'll be dead in the water. You'll have a nice page, but no one visiting and no one giving to your cause. Fortunately, there are a few things that you can do to hedge your bets and ensure a very successful effort. And I'm going to give you 4 tips or steps to ensure that you do it right. But what I want to say up front is that, like everything else, make sure you have a plan. Think things through before you start. Use the framework I've given you to help get you started. But don't just rush in, slap up a page, and think that millions of dollars are going to roll in, because guess what? They won't. There are a number of platforms that you can use to start a crowdfunding campaign, and it seems that more crop up every week. And I don't have a specific recommendation for the platform that you should use. Just know that each one has its own fees and its own primary purpose. Some sites are designed for nonprofits. Others are set up with individuals and businesses in mind. Just do a Google search for nonprofit crowdfunding sites and select one that meets your needs. If you're completely stumped and need more specific help, reach out in the Donor Finder System community forum, and either I or another member of the forum will give you more information. Remember also that crowdfunding efforts require a bit of work. Okay, it's not just going to happen automatically, and that means you should probably recruit a team of other people to assist you. Don't try to do it alone, because there are all kinds of specialties you might need in order to make it work. You might need, for instance, someone who can write a persuasive message. You might need someone who is good at graphic design. You might need someone to make posts on your Facebook page, or to help with perhaps even entering or tracking donations. All of the things you need to do for any fundraising project, you'll also need to do for this specific fundraising project. Think of it as a campaign within a campaign. And if you do that and follow the 4 simple steps I'm about to share, you'll be way ahead of your competition. Now, the best way to get donors to support your cause through a crowdfunding site is by creating an emotional, compelling fundraising page. That's number one. Be sure to use pictures and videos as much as possible. Make sure that you tell an amazing story, and be sure to explain to people exactly how much you need and what the money will be used for. The best crowdfunding sites are very specific. Say something like, "We want to feed 200 children in our area who will go to bed hungry tonight without your help. We only need $2,500. Please support our effort." A compelling page and a compelling message will serve as an effective hook. But be sure to keep it short. No one wants to read all about your history or have to wade through chapters in a book just to get to what you want out of them, right? They want to get to it quickly. So shorter is better. Next thing is, it's really imperative that you launch your online fundraising strategy by reaching out to your own network first. Tell everyone you know about your campaign, including your donors, supporters, staff, volunteers, and board members. Ask them to email out the campaign to everyone that they know. And to ask their entire networks to donate to the cause too. You won't get donations from others on a crowdfunding site until you have a good amount of traction from your own network showing that you're serious. Look, no one really wants to be the first to give, so you have to prime the pump. Give yourself, and then invite those closest to you to be among the first to give. If you set the example, others will have a pattern to follow, and they won't feel like they're the only ones involved in this effort. It's really just a matter of momentum. Now, it almost goes without saying that you need to publicize your crowdfunding campaign as much as possible. Promote, promote, promote. Put it on your front page of your website. Link it to your Facebook page, through Twitter, on YouTube. Send email blasts to everybody you know. Try to get your local media involved too by suggesting story angles of the people that might be featured in your promotional efforts. Like everything, unless people know about it, they won't support it. So be sure everyone knows about it. And then a fourth thing is to remember that you need to go low, quite frankly. It's been my experience that most donors to crowdfunding sites don't make large gifts. They usually make smaller gifts. According to mobile fundraising statistics, the average donation size to a crowdfunding campaign is about $66. They also say that an average crowdfunding campaign lasts around 9 weeks, and that campaigns that reach 30% of their goal within the first week are substantially more likely to reach 100% of their goal by the end. What this means for us is that we should plan to ask a large number of people to give smaller amounts, especially early on. rather than expect that this big unknown donor will come through with a huge gift at the last moment. I've also discovered that smaller goals are easier to reach because they seem more realistic to the donor. People can do math, and if they see a campaign that needs to raise $10,000 but only has 5 $25 gifts in 2 weeks, they're less likely to pony up, plain and simple. So the rule of thumb here is to go low. Keep the goal low and keep the ask amount low. Remember, if you overachieve your goal, you can always start a new campaign with a new goal, and you'll have a successful fundraising effort already under your belt that you can promote and that will encourage others to give. Success really does breed success, especially in crowdfunding campaigns. Okay, so now we need to talk briefly about what I call a type of crowdfunding campaign, peer-to-peer fundraising. It's also known as social fundraising, and it's a technique that's used by nonprofits to enlist the help of loyal supporters who fundraise on the organization's behalf. Often a peer-to-peer fundraiser is also tied to an event, a special event like a walkathon or maybe a marathon. Now let's compare a typical crowdfunding campaign to a peer-to-peer campaign. We've already said that in a crowdfunding campaign, you set up a page and invite donors to give to it. They can, of course, invite their friends to give as well as you reach friends of friends. In a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign on the other side of the chart, you still set up your master crowdfunding campaign page, but individual donors themselves can also set up fundraising pages, which feed into your master crowdfunding page. Peer-to-peer fundraising is like crowdfunding with an extra level of people asking for money in the middle. Whenever you can get others to raise money on your behalf, you're doing quite well. Imagine a whole army of people out there asking their friends and their family to support your cause. That's what a peer-to-peer campaign can do for you. Now, it's not hard to see that, in effect, a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign is a much more personal campaign than a typical crowdfunding campaign. If you remember, we discussed this in the solicitation solution training. When the asker personally knows the prospect, they're much better suited to get a donation. So in creating your crowdfunding campaign, think about others you can ask to be askers themselves. The more people you have asking others they know, the more successful you'll be in your overall fundraising strategy. I guarantee it. Trying to do it all on your own in the fundraising world is really a big no-no. That's why I recommend you create a team to start. And part of that team can be assigned the role of creating their own pages, asking their friends to give, and feeding the master campaign. So how do you get others to participate in a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign? Well, the fastest way is simply to make it easy for them to participate. And that's what Facebook has done already for you. They've taken all the guesswork out of the peer-to-peer effort, and they're now offering qualified nonprofits a platform right within Facebook to solicit their friends and have them invite their friends to give too. It's a free built-in tool that is, in my opinion, the easiest platform that I've seen for creating a peer-to-peer campaign. Facebook, of course, uses GuideStar to qualify nonprofits, and you'll have to apply to Facebook to accept donations, but you can apply easily enough simply by going to nonprofits.fb.com, nonprofits.fb.com. You sign up there, and you get approved, and you're good to go. Now, you'll need both a personal Facebook page and a nonprofit Facebook page, but the site walks you through the process of creating a nonprofit or a business page if you don't already have one. Once your nonprofit Facebook page is set up and it's approved, you'll direct people to go to another site. It's another link, and it's found at facebook.com/fundraisers. And when they go there, they can search for your nonprofit easily. It sort of guides them through the process. They'll follow prompts where they'll create their campaign. They can include a photo. They can choose a goal. They can set a date of their own personal fundraiser in support of your cause. Okay, this then will will enable them to invite all of their Facebook friends to give to your cause. And they're giving to a person. They're giving to someone they know rather than this some unknown entity. And it's highly personal and highly effective. And I've done it for several causes that I support, and it really couldn't be easier. Once again, if you have any problems with either applying to Facebook for the campaign or directing people to to become fundraisers in the campaign once it's set up, then just reach out to us in the Donor Finder System community, and we'll be happy to help guide you through it. So that really covers a whole lot, really, related to the first part of our two-part exponential factor training. We talked about how to find ever-increasing numbers of donors through crowdfunding and peer-to-peer campaigns. Now, I'd like to move on to the second part and look at how to get those donors that you've gotten to give more donations and increase in the number of gifts that they make. And the answer really is through recurring gifts, specifically monthly gifts. The donors that you already have in your database and those that we're attracting through the Donor Finder system really represent a hidden treasure of funds just waiting to be found, or in this case, just waiting to be asked. They know you already, they gave to you already, and they most likely want to give more. And best of all, you don't need a treasure map or a shovel or a metal detector to uncover this potential gold. You just need the right strategy and the right tools, and perhaps a little bit of time. The fundraising principle here is really simple. On average, recurring donors give more money for more consecutive years than single gift donors. And many young and older donors are more willing and more able to show their support by donating smaller amounts every month rather than large one-time gifts. Any size organization can start building a recurring donor program, but your pace of growth depends on your commitment and how much you want to invest. Now, you can certainly start a program on a shoestring budget without all the frills. But once you see the results, I know that you'll be able and willing to spend a little time and a little money growing the program even further. So let's look at 5 simple steps that you can put in place to grow your monthly giving program. Let's assume that you started one, you want to start one. What kinds of things can you do in order to make this thing successful? Well, number 1, you have to own the program. You really do. As with any great idea, if nobody's there to help execute it, the idea just simply dies. That's why it's especially important to answer 2 questions. Who does what in your organization, and when do they do it? No matter what the size of your organization, it's crucial to have one person ultimately accountable for the recurring donor program. That person has to own the program. And this is even more important when recurring donors cross over many different departments or functional areas. Think of this person as the director over the various moving parts so that everything works together, a coordinator. This person also needs to be close to your website, your database users, and your accounting or finance specialists to ensure that payments are processed correctly and to respond if any problems occur. This person has to be willing to troubleshoot, to follow up, and to understand the process within the organization in order to continually improve and grow the program. The person tasked with overseeing this recurring donor program is really going to touch all other departments. So this person should be willing to listen, solve problems, be available, and be a team player. Now, if you are the only fundraiser in your organization, then this job is yours by default. So make sure you know it and then make sure you own it. Recurring donors are really your special group of loyal donors, loyal supporters. They deserve to be treated well, and they deserve to be made to feel special because they are. That's why I recommend coming up with a unique name for the program. Sit down with a few people who know the organization well, such as the donor, a volunteer, a staff member, a program organizer, or a board member, and then brainstorm about some possible names and pick one that ties closely to your mission. A few examples that have worked well for other organizations that I know of include words like circle, friends, sometimes circle of friends, sustainers, partners, advocates, guardians, and even champions. If you want, you can even develop a logo for the group. But again, don't go crazy, okay? Make sure you can use the program name in a sentence along with the name of your organization. So, for example, Circle of Faith, a program of Habitat for Humanity. The name gives people something to focus on and rally behind. It makes the people in the group feel special and set apart. And that's what you're trying to accomplish. Next, you're going to need to organize your monthly processing of credit card payments. I know this is boring and, nobody really wants to do this, but you got to do it. And when it comes to payment processing, there's often an overwhelming set of options. There's legal jargon and sometimes there's fees involved. But basically, the donation process begins with a request for monthly donations. Then donors provide their credit card or bank account information, which is charged on a specific date every month. And this can be submitted through an online form on your website and can also even usually be integrated with most donor management systems. Alternatively, payment information can be manually entered by your staff each month if you've got staff that can do that. Now, I recommend, of course, the automatic method, but I've had staff who have received a manual credit card payment and processed it manually. I've also had staff who received a manual credit card payment and have gone to their own website and entered it as a monthly gift, as if they were the donor. And that, to me, makes a lot more sense than trying to keep track of when payments are due and then remembering to enter it every month and send notices out and so forth. The point is, think through what the process will be for you. Set up that process with your credit card processor, and that might even be just PayPal, and then use that method consistently. That's the important thing here. Next, you want to be sure to ask your donors to give monthly. If you ask donors to join your recurring donor programs, guess what? They will. And the reason they're not giving to a monthly program right now is they probably don't know about it, number one, and they've not been asked to give to it, number two. And when you educate them and tell them about your program and then ask them to give to it, you'll be surprised at the support that you can get. And the sooner you can convert a donor to a recurring donor, or a monthly donor, the more they're going to give to your organization in the long term, and the higher their retention rate will be. And what I really recommend is that if a donor first gives online, ask him or her to join your recurring donor program in the welcome email that you're going to send them. If a donor first gives offline or via the mail, mention the monthly giving program in the welcome letter that you're going to send to them within 72 hours of their first gift. Then, of course, send a monthly donor request in a letter or an email within the first month of receiving the donor's first gift. But no matter when you ask, just remember to tell the donor how the money is going to be used each time. For example, $10 a month will rescue a dozen puppies, or $20 a month, just 65 cents a day, will help feed 50 children. This transparency will help donors build trust in your organization by knowing where their money is going, and that's really, really important to donors. You also want to be sure to determine your monthly ask amount in advance. In other words, don't leave it to your donors to decide how much they will give monthly. Recommend something to them. Remember the principle of social validation from the Persuasion Infuser training? Show them what others are doing, and by comparison, they'll know what they should give as well. And there's a formula you can use to help determine what the first ask amount will be for a particular donor. It's found on the monthly giving framework. When deciding your lowest ask amount, never go lower than $5 or higher than $20. Asking low will allow more donors to join. Remember, your goal here is to bring in monthly donors, individuals, not necessarily raise lots and lots of money, at least not yet. And besides, you'll always be able to upgrade donors at a later date, but you've got to get them into the system as donors before you can begin to upgrade them. So the formula that I'm going to recommend goes like this. You take the average one-time gift of the donor, you divide it by 3, and you end up with their first monthly ask amount. So a $35 average one-time gift becomes $10 as their first ask. The average gift size for the donor can sort of help you decide the other amounts to use when asking. So if our first ask amount is $10, like we've just determined, I would offer other amounts as well. $15, $20, $35, and maybe an other option as recommendations for this donor to give. A $15 average one-time gift becomes $5, $10, $15, $20, and other. Now, studies have shown that the average monthly giving amount across all nonprofit sectors is between $20 and $23. So asking low really will work in your favor, and you'll have opportunities to upgrade the amount later. And I'd use these averages as a guide in deciding your monthly request as well. Now, don't get me wrong, you can have higher monthly levels. Just know that most of your donors will probably start with smaller amounts and eventually upgrade to higher amounts. I have a client who does quite well in promoting 3 monthly giving amounts on their website: $12, $39, and $79. But the majority of givers fall into the $12 and $39 categories. And the first givers to give to the campaign when he started a monthly giving campaign were almost entirely made up of the $12 level people. The $39 and $79 givers came later. The final step in our 5-step recurring giving program is planning your processes and recognition. Before you even start thanking your donors, you need to decide how often you want to thank them. It's a matter of preference if you want to acknowledge each monthly donation, or maybe send an acknowledgement just once, like annually. Simply choose how often your organization wants to send acknowledgments before you send the first one, and then stick to that plan, whatever it might be. And make sure that you've clearly communicated what they're going to receive. For example, will they receive a tax letter every time they make a gift, or will it be sent annually in January listing all of the gifts they've made that year? Also, is there an email or a phone number that they should use if they have questions about their monthly donations? Make sure that you include that in the correspondence. Now, even though your donor may have already received their confirmation email, you'll also want to send an official letter or maybe another email to thank your donor specifically for joining your recurring giving program. And this should be sent to the donor shortly after joining your program and include details about the program, what it includes, how it works, that kind of thing. Who's involved. Try to send all of your acknowledgments, no matter whether there's just a regular thank you letter or an upgrade letter or whatever it might be, within 72 hours of the donor payment. Now, whether you've chosen to send monthly acknowledgments or just the official welcome letter, sending it quickly will make a lasting impact on the donor. Trust me. It's really important to get those letters, those correspondence, those emails out as fast as possible. Now, having a good coding system is crucial for reporting. This will allow you to segment your monthly donors by source and type in your database. You should understand how you're tracking monthly donations from start to finish. This is especially important if you're upgrading, cultivating, or reactivating monthly donors. Some of the things that you're going to want to ask yourself when you're setting up your codes as part of your ongoing processes are questions like, what solicitation appeal did the donor respond to when joining the program? What was the month and year of that specific appeal? And did we send the appeal through direct mail, email, or some other channel? Now, these are only 3 questions, but they'll give you a good focus for creating a strong coding system. And what I want you to remember is to use codes that make sense in your organization. And I'd recommend that you use codes that can be used from year to year. In other words, spring appeal might be better than 2017 spring appeal, because in 2018 then you need to create another code. And that just doesn't make any sense to me, because you can always use the date filter in your program to give you the exact dates that you want within a specific code. So use them sparingly, but make sure they work within the framework and the structure and the things that you're doing within your specific organization. Now, this seems like a good place to talk about your database or your donor management system. So let me just say a few words about that. First of all, it's difficult to manage a fundraising campaign of any kind without a good donor management system. So if you're still using Excel spreadsheets, I'd suggest that you need to upgrade and do it quickly. Preferably, you want to find a donor management system that can easily integrate with your online fundraising plans and have features that integrate with them, like a built-in email system. And there are a few options out there, but they range in price from several $1,000s down to several $100s a month, especially for an online version. You might want to consider right now an offline or a desktop version, especially for a small nonprofit. But unfortunately, your options aren't all that good there either, because even offline versions tend to be quite expensive. Now, fortunately for you, I'm now offering through Razor Sharp Consulting a free desktop database or donor management system that you can download and begin using today if you want. I call it the Razor Sharp solution, and it's Razor Sharp software. And you can get it by visiting www.razorsharpsolutions.org. I offer this particular database through my nonprofit subsidiary, and it's a fully featured software program that you won't find anywhere else. It was designed with small nonprofits in mind, and it was developed by a nonprofit organization, and so it's perfectly suited for your needs. You can upgrade to a more robust version if the standard or free version doesn't work for you. And a cloud-based or online version of the software is currently under development. And we're going to be offering that very soon, where you'll have a website you can link from your current website to receive donations from existing or new donors. And those donations, if you set up that site, will automatically be imported to your Razor Sharp database. And it'll make online fundraising a real breeze. Those features aren't quite available yet, but they will be soon. But you can get your desktop version today if you want. You can download it just by going to www.razorsharpsolutions.org. Remember, everything you do with your recurring donors should fit in with everything else you do in fundraising. In other words, you have to say thank you. You have to tell stories of your gift's impact. You have to cultivate your donors. You've got to provide matching challenges, give a sense of urgency, set specific goals. It's all part of what you do every day anyway in fundraising. And recurring donor programs really are no different. You still have to tell the donor what you're able to do with their ongoing support. You still have to tell the donor how important they are to your organization. All of those things are part of a recurring donor program. It's again, sort of a campaign within a campaign. But remember, recurring donor programs make it easier for donors to give at a comfortable level. And that's what we're trying to do. You're allowing small donors to stay with your organization longer and ultimately make bigger contributions to your organization. A good donor management system can help you with recurring donors because it's able to easily track them, able to easily report on them, and able to easily market to them whenever you need to do that. So basically, this will end the Donor Finder System core training. But before I go, I want to offer a few parting thoughts. First of all, I'm not really going anywhere. You still have access to me and a whole community of like-minded people in the Donor Finder System community. I really hope you'll get active there and you'll upload your frameworks and you'll ask questions and you'll get unstuck and you'll refine your requests and your thoughts and you'll really grow your nonprofit organization to be more than you ever thought it could be. It really has been a pleasure bringing the Donor Finder system to you, and I'm very excited to see what you're going to do with it. And don't forget, there's a lot more to come. From time to time, I'll do webinars, I'll feature clients, I'll create new content, I'll find new resources to help and help you and to improve on the things that we've already learned together. And I hope you're going to come to see that the Donor Finder system is really just the beginning of the journey. It's certainly not the end. I've appreciated the opportunity to spend this time with you. I really am honored that you've been as diligent as you've been in completing the assignments that I've given you and in following through with all the work that we've created together. But there's still one more final thing to do. Even though this is the last video in the training, it's not the end of the road. As I said, there's still a lot more to do. You can review any of the videos in the training. You can refresh your memory, what you should be doing. You can complete and adapt the frameworks to your unique situation. And most importantly, I really want you to get active in the Donor Finder System community. As I said, this is where you will find the help and the support to get unstuck when you face a challenge. And this is where you can share your successes. And just as importantly, this is where you, after you've gone through this, can help other people and pass on all of that knowledge. The community belongs to each and every one of you, newbie and experienced person alike. And I hope that you'll really take advantage of it and really make it come alive. So thanks again for watching. I honor you once again for taking the time to complete this video training and this course and for learning how to grow your nonprofit. I'll certainly look forward to seeing you in the Donor Finder System community. Take care. Bye-bye.